you walk into church during the day. Oh man!
Oh, the angels are singing. It's wonderful.
It's amazing.
At nighttime,
the lights coming in. It's beautiful.
I mean, it's like you're in an episode of Psycho or something.
I never been so scared in all my life.
I'm putting 50 teenagers in a.
It's amazing the building's still standing.
I don't even know.
It's terrible. It's just terrible. Nothing around here to be afraid of, I hope.
Hey everybody, I am Ben Graham. I'm sitting here with my buddy Norman, Bill. What do you like to be called?
That's my full name, Norman Reinhardt. No, Norm's good.
I thought you meant Norm Bill.
Norm Bill. That's I have a two middle name. I am from the South.
I love it.
So
I love my buddy Norm. And let me just say, first off, I can testify. I've played football with this guy, like probably
I'm an amazing football
player.
Probably just
missed the NFL just by that much.
This much.
If it would have been flag football, he'd have totally been there.
And there weren't any flags.
Other than that, I mean, those.
I was ready to go.
Do you know I had a chance to play for the Bears?
Really?
Yeah. Do you know why I didn't?
No.
Because they never asked me.
Yeah, well,
anyway, other than that, I could have
played. That was
played.
the same offer I got.
I could have played.
I got a similar offer.
Yeah,
but it was from the Packers.
So just so you know, this podcast is not about jokes, because obviously you're already to turn the channel like, okay, these are lame jokes. But what can we say? We are in our 40s, and so we're starting to transition into the the old man jokes, which are.
I mean, I've transitioned there like 20 years ago. I was already there in my 20s.
Actually, I seen him play football not long ago. We're both like. We're limping afterwards.
Man, I injured myself doing nothing. Like moved and broke my ankle or something.
Yeah, I had that 1 inch vertical that messed me up. It was difficult. So, man, welcome to our show. We're excited about sharing our podcast with you. This is called Scary Church Stories, and we're going to tell you a little bit about how we got into that today. But I guess first, let's just talk about a little bit about how we became friends. We're both preachers' kids, which I think right there, that was instant connection.
That was instant connection. I'm from North Carolina, so there's like coming to Tennessee. We moved here 5-6 months ago. That's when I met Ben, and we had an instant kind of vernacular and instant understanding and instant connection that was just like boom.
Kind of Southern boys. And we get it.
Just kind of
talk, hunting, fishing.
Yeah, I feel like I need to be in a rocking chair.
Yeah, we really do. We should have filmed this on the front porch of Cracker Barrel.
Porch.
You know what I mean? We should have Cracker Barrel.
That would be hilarious. Actually, rocking.
Do some research. I'm going to ask our producer to do some research and find out, has anybody done a podcast on the front porch of Cracker Barrel? If not,
we can make that happen. We can go
Scary
right down
Church Stories is going to go to Cracker Barrel.
We're going to Cracker Barrel next episode.
To be honest, at least we'd have some food.
We can eat and do the podcast. People would love to see that.
Well, by the way, I can almost guarantee a lot of scary church stories have been discussed at Cracker Barrel after church.
That's probably the number one place to discuss scary church stories, to be honest. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm trying to think.
That or Waffle House.
Waffle House.
Or maybe
let's just tour restaurants.
Waffle House might be the place where the bad guys plan their scary church
That's
stories.
where you go that's where you go to plan stuff at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
You go in there, you get you a waffle.
With a little cigarette butt in it.
A little cigarette, nursing a Virginia Slim.
No. I mean, they put a little cigarette butt in your waffle.
Well, no, I'm talking about they're sitting there nursing a. That's all right. We can cut this part out. It's all right.
Already editing. Sorry. We were going to do this in one take, too.
I know. We almost made it.
Anyhow, so we get connected, and one of the things that's amazing, I think, being a preacher's kid is, you kind of get it. Being a pastor now, I tell people all the time, I try my best to have that pastoral attitude, but sometimes that PK comes out. PKs can be ornery, they can be cynical.
Well, you'd have to ask my wife how ornery I am. I'm probably pretty ornery, but I'm definitely cynical. That's a thing with me. I have that edge that's like, what's going on? I don't say anything. I'm real quiet, and I do that on purpose because I'm afraid of what I might say, and so I just shut it down. And so,
by the way, I think it was pastors that started that whole statement, kids are to be seen and not heard. And that's because they didn't want them confessing anything.
Oh my gosh, that's good. I've never thought of that. That's good.
That's exactly where that
They're
comes
trying
from.
to keep the lid on it.
Yeah,
Keep
they're
the
like,
lid.
all right, kids, look, don't
Yeah.
say a word. Because I mean, probably not in your family and not in my family, because our parents are still alive, they may see this. But
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah.
that there was other pastors who, them
Sure.
and their wives, didn't always get along 100%. There was
Oh, sure.
some
Well,
squabbles.
sometimes it was a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, not at our
No,
houses, but
no.
we've heard.
Yeah, we've heard rumors.
We've heard.
We've heard
Other
rumors.
preachers' kids told us this, and it wasn't always perfect. And so, parents, they're like, kids, we love you.
Yeah.
We want what's best for you, and what God really wants for you is to not say a word. in
Don't
church.
please don't say a thing. Keep it tight.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Don't.
Don't be spilling the business.
That deacon that you heard us talking about, that was at another church. That's
Yeah.
not the same Deacon
man.
Jones that's in our
And
church.
that, I mean,
just to
that's
make
such
sure you
a
know.
hard one too when it comes to, parents and the kids. It's like because you got to discuss that stuff, and it's hard even if you're trying to keep the kids from overhearing everything that's going on. That's a hard thing
Yeah.
because
Well, and I do think it's important for pastors to balance that.
not hiding stuff. I don't mean that being
Sure.
subversive, but I mean like
But
you
just
know, you don't want to
Yeah, you can't be negative all the time, because
Yeah.
that will cause kids to see that. One of the things that my dad was good about, when I would
Mhm.
see something negative in the church, I'd go talk to him about it.
Mhm.
I'd be like, hey, how do you put up with this guy? He's a jerk. And he'd
Yeah.
be like, well, have you thought about the samples? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about this guy.
Yeah.
He's like, have you thought about the Courtneys? I'm like, no, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about this guy.
Yeah.
Like the one guy that I saw negative, he would just point all the positive. And so
Yeah.
he did try to help me understand that. And that's one of the things with this podcast is we know a lot of people have had scary church stories, and some of them have caused people to get out of church. Some of them
Mhm.
have caused people
Oh, yeah.
to never go to church again.
Yeah.
And we're going to have some fun. There's going to be some great stories. We're going to have some great guests that you're going to hear from. But one of the things that we want everybody to understand right from the start is that, the reason that there are bad stories is not because of God. God never fails us.
it was never it's not his issue.
Yeah, it's people. And
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Churches are made of people. There is no perfect church. Matter of fact, the day that I step foot in that church, it's no longer a perfect church.
Oh man, no.
And the day you step foot into it,
Oh yeah.
and so we have to understand that. We get that. And so, but we're going to have some fun, and hopefully
Mhm.
through this show we can help encourage some people to step back in church and realize
Yeah.
that, bad things happen. It happens to pastors,
Yeah.
to preachers' kids, to everybody.
Yeah, and one thing, just as a word of advice, when you're coming into a space, if you're coming into it looking for perfection, my dad used to always say, if you're looking for perfection or nothing, you're going to get nothing. That's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And because, we're dealing with people. And so when you're coming into any church or anywhere you're going, if you come in with that open mind and you come in, wanting to hear from the Lord and love people and be a part of a community, that's going to serve you much better than trying to pick everything apart. So there's my 2 cents on that.
No, it's true. Well, one of the things I love, so I think about scary church stories. Immediately, I think of just if you ever had to spend the night in a church, that's scary. Like, like
what is it about churches? You walk in a church during the day, oh man.
oh, the angels are singing. It's
Yeah,
wonderful.
It's amazing.
At nighttime,
The lights coming in.
Whoa,
It's
whoa,
beautiful.
whoa, whoa. I mean, it's like you're in
It's
an
really-
episode of Psycho
It is
or
true.
something.
Like I went to a Baptist school growing up, and we had like one like lock-in thing, and that was terrifying. Because we're in there. I mean, there's like 50 of us, and we're all number one, you're putting 50 teenagers in a.
It's amazing the building's still standing.
I don't even know, but that was. I remember being in there going,
And they locked
this
you
is
in.
Weird.
You can't get out.
You can't get out.
It's like a
No,
prison.
you can't get out.
Church.
Yeah,
It's prison.
It's prison church.
Kids, have fun on your activity being locked in at church.
That's right.
All you have is a
man.
Bible and the piano and
And we're gonna
the
show a
hymns.
movie.
Oh,
We're gonna
yeah.
show a movie at whatever.
And I'm sure it was. Well, I'm trying to think back in those days.
Oh man, this is in the 90s.
Like Buttercream
Amazing.
Gang or something like that.
Buttercream
Do
Gang.
you remember that?
No.
That was an old.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah, it was a faith-based movie series. I remember
Oh my
we had a
gosh.
video library
I don't know that
when
at
I was
all.
growing up, and they had some of these movies. They were like Christian films, which
I
I'm
don't-
all for
yeah, I
Christian
don't-
films, but back
I'm all for them too, but I don't remember
back
that at
then
all.
they were
Really?
yeah, they were special.
What were they called?
What would've been-
Buttercream. What?
The Buttercream Gang. Yeah,
What did they do?
I don't know, man.
Was it the veg? It wasn't the vegetable things.
No, that's the VeggieTales. This was an actual movie.
Oh, it was a movie. I thought it was like a show.
Well, it was like a series. It had a series of movies, like little made-for-TV stuff.
Oh.
Yeah, no,
I have no idea, everybody.
is a little bit different.
Please put in the comments if you know about the buttercream game, because I have no idea.
Yeah, help us out. Maybe
You can remind me if nothing else.
maybe it was a Russian film. I don't remember. So, do you remember what y'all watched?
No, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I probably blocked it out.
It had
I was
such an
already
impact.
terrified. I was in this church in the middle of the night, so I'm like, I can't think about anything else.
It was. I'm trying to think. What was the Burning Hell? Did you ever see that one?
How did I miss all of these? I have no idea. Burning
one,
Hell?
That one, like, you watched it, you were scared to death.
Did they set the room on fire that you were in?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I remember when I seen it as a kid, people like almost screaming, like freaking out. So I figured that's what they did at the lock-in.
No.
No, that's why Norm never got saved.
That's
That film.
Oh, God.
Well, I know we're watching on our next film night.
Real quick. Burning
The
Hell?
Burning Hell. I think that's what it's called, right? The Burning Hell. Yeah.
Wow,
Anyhow, yeah.
Oh, we got it. The Burning Hell.
Burning Hell. So anyhow,
I'm gonna look that up.
So
I'm looking that up. I gotta
tell you my story. Like I got a ton of them, but this as far as spending the night. So I'm 16. I think statute of limitation is passed, so I could tell this story.
You're good. You're clear.
I'm 16,
You're clear.
and we have this guy named Joel Smith who had all this amazing collection of Bibles. I'm talking about expensive Bibles. One of the Bibles there I know they said was valued at like $2 million. They had all these Bibles.
This was at a lock-in with teenagers?
No, not a lock-in.
Okay.
They had like the chain Bible and all that. And so he's got this huge display at our church. Well, the media has reported it, that he's going to be there for these 3 nights or whatever, doing this conference. And my dad says, hey, I need somebody to stay there and make sure that nothing happens to him. So he graciously volunteers me and 2 of my brothers who are younger than me to stay there. And then he goes, I was like, Dad, I mean, I know the door's locked, but what if somebody breaks in? Because this has been on the media and everything. He goes, I'll leave you my pistol. And so, of course, I got my gun. Now, I grew up hunting all my life, so I know how to do this. So I got a gun, but we slept in that auditorium on the pews, and I'm telling you, all night long, we kept hearing noises.
Yeah.
There was so much happening that night that I didn't sleep a wink. And he did. He had said the other nights he had somebody lined up, but it was just somebody had canceled or something. So he got us to do it, which at first we thought, cool. We love it. It's a challenge. Come on, bring it on. Somebody break in.
Yeah.
But then whenever the doors locked, and they left us there, and this was before cell phone. We had a phone in the office, but I mean, all night long. Oh my goodness.
So
it was intense.
So I have a question.
Yes, we did get resaved that night. We
good.
confessed all our sins.
Confess it all. Confess it all. It's very important. A lot of confession. Here's the question. So you're 16. Your 2 brothers are younger than you are.
Yep.
And you were guarding like a $2 million Bible.
Probably $5 to $6 million worth of Bibles. Yeah.
Did you like stand next to the Bibles?
Well, we were supposedly going to sleep on the front pews right there, but when we turned the lights out and kept hearing noises, we tried to stay up. We tried to do everything we could. I think it was like finally 5 in the morning when we all were asleep, and then about 7:30, Dad showed up and said, "Man, y'all still sleeping?"
Yeah. My gosh.
We're like, still sleeping. We just fell asleep.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So that was that was truly intense. Now, that's not really probably the kind of scary stories we're going to tell, but I still had to tell them because that's
a scary story.
Afraid I've ever been at a church.
Oh man.
And if you think that's bad,
no.
my parents left my sister one night at the church when she was 7 because they had so many kids. We went home, I think in 2 different vehicles, and that's why. Yeah. And they just forgot that Beth wasn't with them, and she had fell asleep in the nursery after church. And so she wakes up at like 3 in the morning and doesn't know what to do. So we had some caretakers that a family lived on the back of the property. So she walked there, but she had to go through like all the back alleys through the areas where we had buses and stuff. And I mean, it was an area that at 6 o'clock at night, you were scared to walk through. Yeah. Even though it was a safe area, but just, when you're a kid, everything's worse. And she had to walk there at 3 in the morning. She knocks on the door and she goes up and they're like, "What are you doing?" She's like, I woke up, I was in the nursery and nobody's there. And they're like, "Oh," so they just had her come in, stay the night, and call my parents early the next morning and said, "Oh, by the way, your daughter was left at the church." So I try to tell my sister, it's like, look, we do love you. It's just maybe not as much as everybody else, since we don't love you enough to remember to take you home.
So here's the question now. So your parents going to see this?
Oh, I'm sure they will.
They going to see this? Okay. Is it all right? You told that.
Well,
that
the thing is
story?
when I speak at a conference, my parents are there.
Yeah.
I'll always get up and I'll be like, man, praise the Lord. You know what God's done in my life. You know, I was raised in a home of alcoholics and drug addicts, and
Yes,
you know,
the Lord
and
really
God,
brought me out.
God saved me, and
Yeah.
thankfully now my parents have come to know the Lord and they're here tonight.
Oh,
That I do that, and they're just
That's
like,
really funny.
and so my dad, you know, loves to then tell his life verse. There's a verse in the Bible
Oh,
that says, you know, forgive my son, Lord, for he's a lunatic.
Yes.
And
Oh my gosh.
he
That's
quotes that as
fantastic.
his life verse for me. So
That's awesome.
so yeah, they'll see it.
That's
Mom, Dad, I
good.
love you, and
Yes.
I'm going to tell some great positive stories about you as well. You just have to wait till episode 9.
There's a lot of backstory. You got to set it up first, and then bring.
This is a
in
counseling
positive.
session. We're bringing stuff out first. Then we get the restoration through all the
Yeah.
positive stuff. No.
We're gonna start putting Kleenex right here on like a little table. Then we're gonna be ready.
Yeah,
So-
it's going to be great. So I think, you know, one of the things that so many people battle today,
Mm.
well, and maybe it's this, I talk to people, I think they all have that one story
Mm-hmm.
in their life that
Yeah.
that changed the way they look at church. Some of them are a positive story.
Yep.
Some of them are negative, but there's just like that one thing. And as a pastor, I deal with it. Sometimes people are like, you know, preacher, I was in church, but then this one guy
Yeah.
did something made me mad. I've never been back, or
Mhm.
whatever. And you know, I'm not belittling it. I think we'll get into this a lot
Yeah.
in this podcast. But it's sad to live your life based on the actions of what one person does to you.
Yes.
Because the reality is, you know, Jesus said as believers, we're going to suffer persecution. Now, I know sometimes we think grander, like, you know, somebody trying to kill us for our faith.
Sure.
But even sometimes the mistreatment of a
Oh yeah.
brother or sister in Christ
Yeah, yeah.
misspeaking to us, or, you know, saying something to us that was unkind. I mean, that's part of that. You know, life's not going to be perfect
No.
in church. And unfortunately, I mean, especially as a pastor, I have people sometimes that just speak their mind to me, and
Yeah.
you know, like, why are you wearing that shirt?
That was one of the things I was always amazed at. Was it was fascinating because I am not in the ministry. That was not where the Lord took me.
He's smarter.
We'll
than
get
I am.
it. We'll get to that. But yeah, it was always amazing how people would just come up and say stuff, and you're just like, of all the things you could say or all the questions you could ask, what might be on a minister's mind or whatever, it's like, where did that come from? How do we feel like that's an appropriate thing, you know? And so I know for me, you know, because I have seen, and I know you've seen, we've all seen it just in PKs. I know the bulk of PKs that I know actually left the church. And it was one of the things that I really do, of many things, but one of the things I really credit my parents for is being able to diffuse, just like your father did, diffuse when negative things were going on, and not making sure that the blame didn't, it was just like, here's this and here's this, but this isn't about the Lord. This isn't about him. He's good. He's got everything covered. And so this issue isn't about him. It's about this, and people are, you know, we make mistakes and we struggle and we have to figure stuff out. But it was, and so that's one of the main reasons I'm still, that was a big thing.
Of course,
And
obviously you have some issues because you ended up in my church. So
yeah, well, I was like,
they can't fully engage in.
well, where can I go and just absolutely just be a mess?
Yeah,
I'll go to Ben's church.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the things though too, like, I think we have to be careful, you know, to see through things, because when you deal with people,
Mhm.
you know, maybe somebody has a bad day, maybe somebody has
Yeah.
a bad attitude,
And that's the thing.
but like, my
right?
parents were good. They never elevated somebody too high.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Because if
Big
so,
one.
boy, that can really let you down.
Yeah.
And there was never, like, I think the biblical model is God's no respecter of persons, and my parents really tried to emulate that. That, you know, it wasn't like, oh, this person's special because they, you know, are big givers, or this
Sure.
person's special because of this. they loved everybody equally.
Yep.
And I think that helped me a little bit see that and not get caught up in that game that a lot of times people get stuck in, where they get so focused on people instead of God. And ultimately, if we're focused on people, somebody's going to let us down. I mean, like honestly, I'm not going to lie. When we played the flag football game the other day, he let me down a little bit.
I did, and we were on opposite teams.
Yeah, that's what let me down. No, it's amazing though. You have to be careful because people let you down, and I try to remember that. I mean, I want to be a pastor that's always encouraging people, but sometimes that happens. So
yeah, you can't help. And that's part of it. That's part of life. I mean, that's just part, not just the church. That's how that's how it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, man, this is going to be fun. This is going to be something spectacular, and here's why. Because I think everybody has a scary church story, and some of the guests we're gonna hear from, they're gonna tell you some amazing things. But we're still gonna dive into a little more of our story on the next episode. But you're going to hear some amazing stories, and hopefully through all of that...
Yeah, I'm nervous. Amazing stories. This is a lot of pressure.
Hopefully through all that, we're going to encourage people to go to church.
Yeah, that's the goal. Okay, everybody, here's the message. Go to church. Do you like that?
I love it.
You like that? It's the summary. It's the summary. Go to church, everybody.
Yeah, go to church. Because if you want a good scary story, you can't get it.
You can't get it unless you're at church.
So from now on, when you go look for something...
I think this is really going to be positive. This is going to be a positive thing for people. They're going to be like, everybody, you're going to have like 400 people walk in here on like next Sunday.
The positivity is going to be so powerful. Next week, I'm wearing my Richard Simmons headband.
Yes.
I'm going to motivate everybody.
I'm ready to see that. Okay, you got to vote on if you want to see Dr. Ben. I'm going to call you Dr. Ben.
In a headband.
In a headband. Richard said, we got to vote on this, and I think it's going to be a resounding yes.
Okay, I'll do the headband, but the shorty short's not going to happen.
You don't have to wear that. It's just a headband. It's just a headband. You don't have to wear the short shorts.
Listen, thank you for joining us, and man, we're excited about
it's going to be fun.
Sharing some great stories.
It's going to be fun. Yeah.
God bless.
See you soon.